council on how to go about trying to clean that up.
So you will vote on that next. Like, this is just a vote for, pick a company to give us that.
They're just gonna give us a bid for that, and it has to follow state guidelines, from the Department of Natural Resources that are included in the bid, included in the grant. I mean, it's not just us saying, hey, go clean it up.
This grant does have a 2-year timeline on it, if it helps, and because of the process and continuing to monitor that property, particularly and I'm, talking over my head here, but, the water.
Groundwater.
Yeah, groundwater. So,
And so to be clear, we're not making any kind of financial decision tonight. We're just picking a
That's correct.
firm that will go out and secure the bid, just so there's no confusion there.
Any other discussion? Motion on the floor, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes.
I'm sorry, I should have, Joe Lay is here from Smith and Company, if anybody has any questions for him, I'm sorry, I didn't
yeah,
mention
we
it
have
before
a
we
bad
voted.
one.
I said I'll be here until the end, so if you got any questions.
Okay, thank you. Sanitation Committee, unfinished business. Mr. Sparks.
Short.
Mayor and council, I've got a couple of things. The first thing, we'll talk about the committee voted to rebid the dumpster bids and the roll-off bids. And you've got a copy of them, what changed, which made some changes, but I've done that. And all we gotta do is get you to vote to go ahead and make the bid, put the bid out.
To approve the specs.
Approve the specs, exactly. And I'd like to, put it in paper and then send out a copy to everybody has a license and can pick it up, so everybody can see it.
Do we have a motion on the floor to approve the specs for the upcoming sanitation bids?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion? We have a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Hey, can I ask why we're rebidding them, since they've already been bid on?
I can answer that. Because of billing, because of how it's been billed, we wanted to change the billing. I can give you a copy of it,
Thank you.
so you'll know. We need to bill differently, just because of time savings in the city. And the bids, so you'll know, so when you rebid this, both bids legally could be thrown out because there was so much extra stuff put in there that wasn't asked for. So when you bid it this time, just bid it what's asked for.
Well,
And the same way with Republic, we could actually bid the two bids together, which was not how it was asked to be done.
Well, the only problem I see with that is, now you know what everybody bid on. So now we're having to reconvene.
Now, let me interject for a second here. Where the motion is already passed on the floor, I would ask that you all take that conversation after the meeting's over, because it has already passed by the council.
Just plain.
Yes, sir.
The second order of business in the committee, the sanitation committee, we talked about, and this is not anything new, this is something, I'm repeating this because there's a few people here that aren't in the committee that haven't heard it, so there are 4 or 5 people. Just residential sanitation pickup. Several years ago, when Branham went out, I was approached, some citizens said, well, what about this? Why didn't the city take it over? Why didn't the city municipal just take over the trash? And at that time I was like, oh, I'll see, we were starting up, let's just see how it all goes. So since then, all the things that have happened over the last year, as you know, we've had other people say, hey, this is how these other cities do it. Talk to them, talk to this person, talk to this city, which I did. And the things we talked about in our committee meeting is, and I'm just going to go through this list again: economic development, local job creation with benefits, savings for the citizens of Kennett, less trucks on the street, sanitary, health and safety, to be in compliance with city and state regulations, dependable new trucks every 3 years, easy billing and payment for citizens and property owners, hopefully less dumping on country roads, private property, grapple truck for large items, curbside, and this will all help clean up Kennett. So that's the reasons I think that the municipal can handle it and should handle it. What we've done for that is we went to outside counsel to look over the state statutes and our ordinances to put together what would have to be changed to municipal handling residential trash, which we've done. That's what all this stuff is. What what the committee voted and passed was to, like, for a motion to be made for the Board of Public Works to enter into the residential sanitation business. So what we're asking is to go back to the Board of Public Works to vote to progress forward, then come back to council with all the ordinances that would have to be changed to do that. There is a 2-year time wait that has to be done. So once the clock starts ticking, it's 2 years before any of that can transpire. And what we're asking, the committee's asking, is that the council approve, take this to the Board of Public Works.
I'm gonna allow some public participation, but not the moment. Before we enter into discussion on this, I think I want to keep it very formal and very civil. If we want to enter discussion, let's have a motion and a second, and we'll open discussion for this proposal. Do we have a motion to enter in?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. Now it's time for discussion. I'm gonna start with the council, then I'll ask for anyone in the public that wants to have a few minutes to talk about this.
Again, I know I spoke on it in the committee.
Yes.
I still see no difference in what you're wanting to do than what we tried to do last year. To me, it's the same thing. I know at least 70 phone calls I got that where they did not want citywide trash pickup at all.
Yes. All right, so that being said, there's state statute that they don't have a choice. They have to have trash pickup.
They didn't say they didn't want trash pickup. They wanted to choose who they had pick up their
Okay.
trash.
All right, and I understand that also. What I do know is that the city of Kennett is not in compliance right this second with the state regulations that we adopted 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, whatever it was. We're not, we've got to get in compliance with those regulations or the state statutes. It's not, there's state statutes in all this stuff that says if there's trash left out that's not picked up, it's in violation, whether they paid to do it or not, it still has to be picked up and then it has to be pursued to be paid. The reason the City Light and Water didn't want to be a billing collection agency, because there's a difference in that and them supplying a service that they're billing for. And the different cities that we spoke to that do it, you know, were saying, oh, this is the best thing we did, here's how it works, it really works good. And there's a lot of legwork that was done before even thinking about doing this. And I don't know, I feel like the only way we're gonna clean up Kennett is get somebody involved like that that's gonna do it right, they're gonna do what it takes to get it right and offer the service. And I mean, and like we talked about the grappling truck, I mean, you drive around Kennett, there's mattresses, there's chairs, there's sofas sitting down on the side street now that we removed. I mean,
So the first motion we passed a while ago was to get bids for 2 years?
No, that's so different.
That's a
the
whole totally
dumpsters.
different
That's
thing.
sanitation dumpsters and
Okay.
roll off.
that's a whole different
This is a whole different
thing.
subject now.
The biggest difference between what you're talking about now and what we were doing last time is that the city of Kennett is not guaranteeing anybody's payment.
That's right, the city of, exactly.
The last time we were, if anybody didn't pay their trash bill, we as the city of Kennett were going to pay for that. Now, that, if I find out my neighbor's not paying to have his trash picked up, then why would I want to pay for it?
And
That's what
there's
went on
actually
last
a-
night. This is different. This is the individual pays and the city does the trash service.
Somewhere in here, and I've read all this so many times, but somewhere in the ordinance, the state ordinance, it's a law, that every resident has to have trash pickup. It's a law that if they don't pay for it, that it's against the law.
We have an ordinance that requires everybody to have trash pickup.
So, I mean, this is not anything new, it's just not being followed. And the only way to get it followed is to do it this way. And I mean, every city we spoke to, and I can get more in depth on what the plan is. If you want to know what the plan, I mean, if you want to know more, more what our plan is on the whole thing, or, how much you want to know? I mean, the committee have talked to them about it. I mean,
Committee voted
the committee voted to do this.
in favor of it.
In favor of it. And it was 5-1. Kevin voted against it, and everybody else voted for it. And he's got good reasons. I mean, because the last time that there was the push that we put on to stop it was due to forcing City Light and Water to build something and act as a collection agent. And so that was why the push to stop it was done. And this would be a whole different situation, because you're looking at, just another service.
Any other questions for right now? I think we have one in the back that would like to come up and, please come up and state your name for the record.
And I volunteered, my name is Chris Sharp, we volunteered to bill for it, so the city like gas and water wouldn't have to deal with it. But they fought us on that, they didn't want it. They wanted it to be open for everybody. Now they're trying to come in and put the little guy out. It don't make any sense to me. Am I right or wrong? They're trying to put that, they're trying to do something that we was already doing. Look,
Anybody else?
My question is,
Please come up to the podium. State your name.
Vernon Lowe, Ward 4. My question is that, so we're looking at the city itself picking up trash. How long will it be before we see the revenue from that benefiting the city, and how much more will the trash rate go up?
I think you got a lot of questions that, we're not even close to.
No, but what I'm saying is, to even consider that, should be something down.
I don't think this is even at the point right now. All they're asking for is a motion to bring this consideration to their board.
Let me tell you how that works, so you'll know. Okay, how it works is, once we send out a letter that the city is going to do this, we got 2 years to implement. We got to wait 2 years before we can start picking up trash. That's a state statute. There's no way around it, because I already tried every way to find out if there is a way around it. There's not. And so at that point, that a certified letter goes out, we've got actually 3 years to start the process. But if you don't start the process in 3 years, you have to send out another 2 years worth of letters for another 2 years. And so from what Jamie can tell you more on kind of where it's going to be a savings to the citizens. We're going to be less than what's being done now. The main thing is, what's happening now is, and you just drive around Kennett, it's a mess. I mean, it's a total disaster. And it's not, I mean, I had somebody say, well, it's not going to help if you do that. Well, you just can't do nothing. You got to do something.
Step in the right direction.
And it's a step in the right direction. Every city that I talk to that does it says the best thing they did, that they clean things up. Now, how they work and we would like to do the same, or the City Light and Water would like to do the same is they said the key thing is being in communication with code enforcement. So they're guys that pick up, or their eyes and ears out there, and they drive by and they say, hey, somebody's got a big mess at this location, and they just drop a pin to the code enforcement and say, you need to check that place out. So you're not driving around looking for stuff all the time. There's people out there doing that. There's people that are out there working it and see it. So like Jonesboro, for instance, he says, the best thing ever, because we just call code enforcement when we see that there's a sofa sitting out on the curb, or there's something that's not supposed to be done, and they take care of it. So, I mean, it's I don't know, I think it's a win-win. I mean, there's 20 years ago when we tried to do it, when I was on the council, there was 5 carriers, 5 local carriers, and I said, no, we're not going to do that to 5 local carriers. Now we had 2, we got 1, and we got 1 that's from Dexter, and we got 1 that's kind of local, and their people are kind of local. And I mean, if you're going to do it now, now's the time to do it. Now, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And I'm just trying to think of what else we were told as far as just the cleaning up and how it all works. Because we asked 1,000 questions, and you know, I spent a few hours with people in different cities, and they're like, well, if you do, as long as you can work with the code enforcement, and they'll help you, and it just gets better and gets better and gets better. And so, this is not something that we just jump into. This is not done to run somebody out of town. It's just done because I feel that's the only way we're going to get the city cleaned up. Because
I got a question.
yes.
So when they start doing this, are they gonna do that at a flat rate?
Do what?
Or are they gonna do that at a flat rate, same rate for each resident, each household to pay the same?
Flat rate, and then there'll be, if you need more than one.
So what happens if my neighbor throws out 10 sofas every week? Are they gonna pay extra, or are they gonna pay the same as,
No,
the same price that I will be paying?
I don't know where they get 10 something, but if they did, we'll use the compost roll-off just like we use now, other than we're going to clean it up. The plan is for City Light and Water to grab that stuff and get it out of the streets, out of where it is. Initial rollout, what we thought was to put out several roll-offs all over town, and so people fill them up to try to get as much trash out of the city as possible, and then you start the maintenance of picking up trash.
On the bulk, like you're talking about, and I'm just giving you an example that I know of. It's like Paragould. You put something out by the road, limbs or brush or bulk items like couches, it gets hauled off. It's kind of like the May Day cleanup we used to have, spring cleanup. You know, you might put one thing out by the road, but I might put 2 truckloads out by the road. We all pay, but it's eventually you work through all the junk.
But to answer your question, Steve, you get provided one container. And if you have a second container because you got a bunch of kids or whatever it is, then you do pay additional for that second container. Now, the bulk items, that's just gonna be part of the pickup. That's gonna be part of the trash service.
It's almost like a City Light cleanup constantly. You know, instead of once a year, where the city paid $90,000 for citywide cleanup, that's not going to happen anymore. It's a savings to the city. Okay, that's going to be a constant pickup. It's just part of the deal. And I don't know,
How's it gonna be billed?
how's it going to be? It's going to be billed on City Light and Water, just
I mean, by meter or
by
house?
every
Service location.
service location.
So if you've got 5 meters on your property, you're only getting 1 bill.
But to be fair, we're not
What
even
if
near
you
those
have-
discussions.
Yeah.
We're just, right now, all we're trying to do tonight
Right.
is voting on, we're gonna send it back to their board, see if they'll be willing to take it.
Yeah.
So we have a lot more time for you all to discuss.
And next council meeting, I will have all the ordinances. They should be finished.
Well, I asked that question because I have 2 properties with 2 meters, but one of them has no trash. It is a
There's
warehouse
gonna be
for
several
storage.
properties like that in town.
It's storage, and all the trash that I gather there, the bag every 3 years goes to my house.
But I'd rather have these questions for a
Yeah.
specified meeting,
Yeah.
because we're still many years, a couple of years out of minimum before all this
Yeah,
happens.
what we want to do is we're going to get the clock ticking so that we can get the actual, what has to change in ordinances.
And in 2 years, it might not never change. You've got 3 years to make that happen, or you might decide, I don't want this.
Can you back out during those 2 years? Can you say, we don't want to do it?
Yes.
Or you're committed to move forward?
The Board of Public Works could say, if they decide not to, that's not gonna happen. I mean,
We've done it, we've done the 2-year no's before.
Okay.
Asking the
And
city
they didn't
is
move forward.
considering doing it, and, well, we want to put it up for a vote, people on failed. And so the city did not pursue it, so we had done the 2-year
Oh,
letter.
okay. That's what I
So
wanted to make
you're
sure.
not
that
obligated
You're not
to do
obligated
anything after
Okay.
2 years.
but you got up to 3 years to complete and start. That's how the state statute is.
I think it's positive because first of all, we're not in compliance. We've got to get in compliance. So it helps to rectify that situation if I understand it correctly. And then it also elevates the level of services we're providing to the citizens here in that it's a uniform, standardized service and it can be less expensive. And then if we get something in place, then maybe we're able to work on, you know, like you say, the bulk waste, recycling. You know, I'd love to see us do curbside recycling down the road someplace and cleaning up yard waste.
And I think this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and the recycling thing, as talking trash, and I spoke, we gotta get it put in the can first, learn to do that first, and get that more consistent. Then we'll look at the recycling thing. And I had experience in the recycling thing, with my daughter lived in Tulsa. And the first time I was there, I started reading the recycling, I got threw all this stuff in there, and the guy was like, I'm not picking that up. And I'm like, why? He said, because it's got styrofoam in it. I said, well, so? Can't do it. And I said, please, I just moved here, I don't know what to do. And they're like, no. And so, that's an educational thing, that's the recycle part of it.
One last thing.
Yes.
Can we say for sure that the average bill will be less than it is now?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
And this is just to get the ball rolling. You know, once this
Correct,
gets
but-
out, if it turns into anything like it did last time, the citizen's gonna tell you whether they like it or not. You know,
And there's, and once the Board of Public Works commits to it, and the next meeting, we bring the ordinances, and then the commitment's made by the city, trucks have to be ordered, everything has to be, I mean, there's a whole lot of things that have to happen at that point. Once the Board of Public Works is on board with it, and the city council is on board with it, it's got to move forward. And that's where we're going. It's not something we just thought of. I mean, it's been a lot of work.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? The motion on the floor is to ask the Board of Public Works to
To enter into the residential sanitation, that's important, that it's residential, not commercial.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next meeting, I'll have everything you need to look at. All we do is once I get all that you can take it and look at it and make sure it looks like, Terry needs to look through it. He may have seen some of it already, I don't know. I thought you have, correct?
What? No.
Oh, you don't want it? Oh, Kurt hadn't got with you on anything?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna meet with him next Thursday.
Well, I told you that I'd be happy to talk with him.
Okay, and I told him, and so I just assumed he'd make.
No, he had not.
Well, I'll talk to him.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Suggestion I might bring up, Mr. Parks. Do we want to have a meeting immediately prior to the council meeting to carry out any questions, so we don't have an extended council meeting next 2 weeks from now?
That'd be fine, just put it on.
I'm asking if you want to, you know, if that's something you want to consider.
That'd be better, because then I'll have everything, by that council meeting, I should have all the ordinances, everything, and I'll drop a copy off to Terry, so he can look over it
Okay.
and, then we can discuss anything that looks odd.
Okay. I'll allow you to give the clerk and set the time that you want to do that. But I'd ask to be two next, before the council meeting would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on into new business. Mr. I.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I think most of you know this Saturday is a big weekend in Kennett. There's a lot going on. The thing I want to talk about is the Fall Into Arts Festival. It's happening on the square from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can go to kafta.org, KAFTA.org, for the full schedule of events, but some of you have probably been in the past. There's a full day of entertainment all day on the square with all kinds of performers and dancers and things like that, both on the square and inside the Opera House. New this year is a historical walking tour. There are 11 stops along the way. Most of that information is up on the website already. I'm still working on some of the posters to be finished on that. But it's everything from the 4 churches that are around the square, and the Baptists, the Presbyterians, the Methodists, and the First Christian Church have all agreed to be open from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. so people can go into the sanctuary, see the beautiful stained glass windows from inside the churches. So thank you, Stephen and the Alliance, for helping with that. One of the stops is the Palace Theater, and there'll be a history of all the many theaters. There have probably been 30 different movie theaters in Kennett since movies came about. And Homer Swain is an expert on that topic, and he will be in front of the Palace from 11 to noon to answer any questions people have. And there'll be a big sign there, a poster that explains what's going on. Another stop is the site where the Sexton Mule Barn was at one point, which is behind Cornerstone Drug. So like less than half a block off the square was, all this livestock and smelly animals while you're trying to, shop around the square. Might think you're in a barnyard. So that's kind of interesting. We have 2 WPA project buildings. We have 2 buildings that are on the historic site, registered site. So I hope people participate and kind of check that out. And the walking tour map will also be downloaded from CAFTA, so that if you don't have a chance to go out this Saturday, it will be there in perpetuity. And I think it's also going to end up on the Chamber's website and the tourism site at one point. We have a photo contest and an art contest. People can come in Friday afternoon to the Opera House and register or submit their entries. We have a balloon twister, face painting. We have a record number of vendors. We have 63 vendors, so instead of just being on the north side of the square, they will also be on the east and the south, west side of the square. So that's kind of exciting with 14 different food trucks. We also have a new magician this year, and at some time during the day, he is going to saw the mayor in half. And so I know you won't want to miss that.
You're like a car.
2 of me running around here. That's not good.
Yeah, then we'll have 2.
Is that real or fake?
Double trouble.
So anyway, there's just a lot going on. Also, the Smithsonian exhibit opens at the library this Friday and will be open on Saturday. It's a great exhibit that the library has, recruited and gotten a grant to have this Smithsonian exhibit here about crossroads in rural America. There'll be an author's fair there with the people who've written books, and you can, get your book signed or ask questions if you're an aspiring author. And there will also be some beautiful quilts that are already on display in the library. So, and there's more. But anyway, I'm just, excited, as you can tell, about it. A lot of work goes into it. I have some extra posters here if anyone has a business or office that you'd like to put one up in to help publicize it. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity.
Sounds like a good occasion. Looking forward to it. We also have, let's say Saturday, we have the Kennett Cruisers at Jones Park. So we have a lot of activities this weekend. On the business side, we have the roadblock. We have plans to get the square blocked off.
Yes, they've not notified us of the time we want it blocked off yet. We'll get it done.
Okay.
I'll connect with the organizer. We start at 10. I think we usually want everybody off the square by 10, but I'll double check that.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, yeah.
And maybe some increased patrol around that area, just because